Hi, Judy Lawrence from Center City Notary. So this video is going to be teaching you what is a notary and what does a notary do. We've already talked about how you become a notary, but what is a notary? A notary is a person responsible for authenticating a person's signature. So, for example, if you are doing a mortgage and you bring that mortgage to me, I watch you sign it, I authenticate that it was really you, and then I put my signature, stamp, and seal on it. So now you're going to ask me, well, how do you know it was really me? How do you know that somebody else didn't just come in and hand you the mortgage? Well, it's not as simple as handing me the mortgage. You have to hand me a valid photo ID. And that valid photo ID will have your picture on it, and it will have an expiration date. Prior to the pandemic, we were not allowed to accept something with an expired expiration date. I believe now we are. I believe it. We have a 6-month leeway because of the pandemic. But there are no excuses. There are no substitutions. It has to be a driver's license or a passport or a government ID. It must have your photo on it. It must have the client's photo on it, I'm sorry. And you must present that at the same time you are presenting the documents for notarization. So what's the glitch here? Well, the glitch is that a lot of people will come in, and if they've seen you before and they've notarized with you before, they're going to say to you, oh, you know me, and my mother signed this. My mother signed this mortgage, but you know my mother. She's been here 10 times. The answer is no. Mom has to come in and sign the document in front of me and show me her identification. Or as a mobile notary, I can go out to mom's house and do the same thing. But identification is identification. Otherwise, as notaries, we could just be notarizing any old thing given to us by any old person. So identification is the first thing. The second, and equally as important, is they cannot sign the document until they are in front of you. Now there are, and we can go through this in later tutorials, there are ways that there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, they have to sign the document in front of you. So once again, somebody comes in and says, here's mom's driver's license, and you know mom, and she signed this. No, cannot do it. And the third thing about identification that I want to point out to you is we as notaries are not permitted to accept a scanned copy, a PDF of anybody's identification. We must see the real deal, or passport or driver's license or government ID. We must see the real deal. So a notary, just to sum it up, has to authenticate a signature. The notary will authenticate the signature by looking at the ID and making sure that the person who's presenting it is the same person that's on the ID, making sure the ID is current, making sure the photograph looks the same, and then and only then are you permitted to go ahead and authenticate that that person is who they say they are and sign the document. So that is your job as a notary, and it's a serious job. It's not just nothing at all, because think about it this way. I go ahead tomorrow and I notarize a will for someone, and I don't do my job, and they say, well, I don't have my identification, and I say, well, you look like a nice man, I'll sign it anyway. And then this nice man passes away, and his children say, well, I didn't know. I didn't know who is this notary that came in here and signed my father's will? They couldn't have gotten his identification because I have it. And then you have done a bad thing, and you have created a problem, and you will probably end up in court. So I want you to know that, to me, being a notary is a privilege. It is a great job. It is, you will help some wonderful people, but you have to make sure that you follow these basic rules. And that's it for what a notary does. Again, my name is Judith Lawrence. Um, I can be reached at Center City Notary 100 at gmail.com or 215-870-3103. Always available to help. Pre-pandemic, we were 24 hours. We may get back to that, but right now we're working a little less hours, but you can always call or text with any questions you might have. Thanks for listening. Bye.